Man, Vikram, that was great. I always love chatting with people that are connected with Sharon, because there's so many. They share very, very similar ethos to the type of ethos we share around business and life, around humans over homes. And what would you say is kind of your biggest takeaway from this show of why somebody should listen to the entire thing?
Well, considering my internet kicked me out like 3 times and I only heard about 17 seconds of it. I loved, so Kara is just a heart-centered, good human being. And she's a mom. She's got like a bunch of kids, like you have to be process oriented in order to be successful in this business. And I talked to so many agents that just, why'd you get into real estate? Oh, well, I showed some houses, or I looked at some houses and it looked fun. And I thought I was going to be great at it because it looked fun. And I'm like, that is not a process. That's like hopium. And it's not their fault that they don't understand, but Kara's got a process that she's been developing for everything over the last 2 decades. And I love that she just keeps adding on. She's like, oh, this year we added this one thing. Oh, last year we added this thing. The year before we added this thing. And it's not like trying to add 100 things. And then I love that she comes from the heart with her business, because when you come from the heart, it's like what I tell my team here. I was like, you guys, we don't just help people make more money. When we help people make more money, we change their lives. So they might make an extra couple of sales a month, but that extra couple of sales allows them to get their kid the shoes that the kid wants. So that might help the, family get their grandparents closer to them, or it might help them get the medical treatment that they need, or the therapy that they need, or whatever it is that they need. So we don't just change somebody's sales, we change their life. And so when we don't do our job, we are actually affecting a huge chain of people. So it's not like you're just making a prospecting call. You're making a live that impacts others. And it's just like what you keep saying from the Next Home event, humans over homes.
And I chatted at the beginning of this podcast around humans over homes. And the cool thing, like Kara shared a lot of the ethos. I think, for me, the thing I was most excited about is to hear her ideology around recruiting. And if you are in a digital brokerage, you maybe run a team, you have a brokerage, and you want to attract top talent. She walks you through the step-by-step process of what she did in order to attract top talent, and how she created a strategic system, a strategic process for actually getting in front of those people. So I think just that alone, no matter what you do, no matter where you're at in your business, if you're thinking about recruiting at all, you need to turn on this episode, because I think you'll get a ton of value from it. And just even around like lifetime referrals and how to create a strategic process rather than as what Sharon says, praying to the referral gods. No, you need a strategic process for how you're going to create strategic referrals in your business. So tons of great value into this. I guess it's about time that we hop into the show. You're listening to the #1 real estate podcast in the world, where we talk with real estate professionals all across North America about their wins, losses, lessons, and stories, help you win in your local market. Today, my name, get it out. My name is Cody from Sheridan Street. I am joined with Vikram Deol from the Real Estate Sales Academy and the co-host of the RE Agent podcast. Vikram, how you doing? Where are you at right now? Last podcast we did, we were together.
Yes.
And yeah, where are you at in the world?
Yeah, I'm still in Colombia. I've been here for you've been bouncing though. So you're in a new spot in Colombia, which is cool, but no, I'm still here, and it feels great to be grounded and actually able to, have my team around me. The last couple of weeks, we've been on a hiring and a firing and a quitting spree. I think that should be a solo podcast I should talk about, is like hiring, firing, and people quitting, all within a span of 16 days.
That's a lot.
You have an exciting life happening right now. That's great.
Yeah. Where are you at though? Well, real quick, I think you had 2 nuggets that you learned from your event that I know Kara might be even interested in hearing, but you kept talking about what you learned from the Next Home event you're at. And I think there's a lot of value of what you learned about what the founder was doing in the how to promote his vendors. And you're really jammed about. Maybe you could drop a nugget or two about how to treat people.
Yeah, we were at the Houston Next Home event. So we're a partner with Next Home. So we were a sponsor for the event, and the president of NAR spoke at the event, and it was phenomenal. But like Next Home, their entire premise at their event was humans over homes. And I absolutely love that. And so many of the vendors and the people that were at the event just have that ethos to life, like the humans over homes. Like everyone is a potential future client. And the NAR rep, and you and I were chatting with Vic the other day, the NAR rep said that we're entering a really, really tough market right now. Like it's going to be tough. It's going to be difficult. And he encouraged everyone at the event that you need to have a plan. And he said every single day you need to do something fun, you need to do something tough, and you need to do something for someone else. So yeah, it was an amazing event. Got to connect with a ton of vendors, and we just spent a really good time in Houston, meeting a lot of people who were aligned with our ethos to business and life. So it was good.
Yeah, something tough, something fun, and something for someone else. Which brings me to our host, or to our guest today, who I'm really excited to get to know. She also had some tech issues today, so it's not just me, Cody. So leave me alone. But she's been in the business for almost 20 years, which if you guys are watching this on YouTube, you would not know that. She's actually led a ton of offices for Long and Foster. She oversaw hundreds of agents. She's done a couple of $1 billion in sales. So, I mean, if you guys want to do a couple $1 billion in sales, you might want to tune in. And she's got a crazy team structure, which I love, because everybody talks about team structures where, you got to have the buyer's agent, you got to have the showing agent, you got to have an ISA, you got to have a this and a that and a this and it becomes so big that it's almost impossible for most people to manage. So I'm really excited for Kara to dive in. Kara Chaffin Donofrio, welcome to the RE Agent podcast. Cody and I are super pumped to drill you and ask you just a ton of questions about what you're doing. But before we do that, why don't you share a little bit about yourself with us?
Oh, well, thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm super pumped to be here with both of you and be on this amazing podcast and serve your listeners. So I love what you were just saying about, humans over homes, because I think that that's really at the core of what we do. It's like leading with the servant's heart. And I really believe that when you are doing business in a way that is really focused on the person and not the transaction, like everything will, when that's at your core, things will fall into place, and you will be able to, when people feel that from you, that's when they want to help you back, So that's really at the core of how I've built my business through the past 20 years. So anyway, a long way of saying thank you for the opportunity and for being here. To answer your question, gosh, there's a lot of different ways I could go with that, but just to give you kind of a very quick bio of me. So I am a mom of 3. I've got 3 little ones, 7, 6, and 3. I have been in real estate since I got out of college. So I was a finance and international business major. I did global finance for Disney consumer products. I did like a 6-month co-op there in college, and they had offered me a job to stay on. And much to my parents' dismay, I decided to pursue real estate. They were like, "Why are you not going with Disney?" So anyway, I had a friend in working with the builder at the time, and I just have always kind of been interested in it. And so my career started with a builder, and they actually were really good at teaching us process, teaching us sales process, because I think one of the things that we're not really taught as agents is how do you lead your clients through a process? Like, how do you take them? How do you ask really good questions? And how do you get to the heart of what they're looking for so that then you can deliver on that? So we were actually taught how to sell pacemakers before we were taught how to sell homes, which is kind of interesting. But it was really like a great training ground to good process, I would say. And then just like the quick little backstory on that 20 years, so then in '08, I was sitting in a model home, super bored because, there wasn't a lot going on at that time. And my community was back, like tucked in the woods, really hard to find. So I was maybe seeing one person in my model home a week, which I am a person that thrives with being in front of people. So that was really tough. So anyway, so I had a relationship. My boyfriend at the time was moving to California and was like, you should come too. And I was like, yeah, I will. So I basically retired in my late 20s in Monterey, California. I was really naive and thinking that, hey, I'd been super successful. I was just always going to be successful. And so moving to Monterey, I was like, I'll figure it out. I'll get a job. Well, of course, we moved to a tourism town in '08 where there was really very little industry. So anyway, long and short of it is that didn't work out. Great experience as to what I did not want in a relationship. Moved back to the DC area and started figuring out, what I wanted to do. And I went back into real estate, but this time as a solo agent. So I joined Long & Foster simultaneously. Interestingly enough, not many people know this, but I started a master's program in social work because at the time I was also trying to figure out, like, did I want to pursue this other path? I actually did social work at a school in Northeast DC and helped kids that were disabled and mentally challenged. And so we, helped them and did work there as I was building my business. Decided that I didn't want to do social work after I went through that path because, quite frankly, much of what a lot of the counseling and the things that I was actually doing in social work and being taught are really great practices for how we counsel our clients.
I thought realtors were social workers.
In many ways, there could be some parallels. But yeah, it was really interesting, experience. Then I went on to Long & Foster, as you mentioned, had asked me to lead several of their offices because I'd done pretty well. And I enjoyed that leadership side of things and management. And I, helped recruit agents, train agents, teach them what to do. And I loved that kind of teaching aspect of it and teaching people how to build systems and how to build business. And really also, I think one of the reasons that I love real estate is because it's, you can really create the life that you want. And there's a lot of freedom in that. There's also a lot of people that struggle with that freedom because what does that mean, right? Like, how do I do that? And how do I? So anyway, was on the leadership side for a while. And then I just honestly got a little burnout. I mean, real estate agents are a little bit like herding cats. And I didn't really want to continue to lead and manage working for somebody else, like working for the company. I loved my company, the brokerage, but I wanted to really go back on my own and build my own business and do it my way and be able to lead for my own company. So I'm still with Long & Foster, but I have a business within that. And, that's really kind of what I've been doing since, I guess, 2019 is when I left the leadership role. So that's a long, a whole story. I didn't give you a short story. I give you the long story.
Oh, that's awesome. There's a lot to unpack there.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack. And I think that what's really cool to me is like you have so much like depth of knowledge, like you've been in the recruiting space and there's so many different directions that we can go. I want to start with recruiting because I think that we're now
you're going down a different angle.
I'm going down a different angle here. So because I'm really curious because right now like there's a lot happening in the space, especially with like digital brokerages where a lot of the profit sharing is coming from recruiting. I'm really curious right now if you can speak to maybe like a team leader or potentially an agent that wants to recruit? Because there's a good way to recruit, and then there is a bad way to recruit. And I think that agents that are successful can get their backs up against the wall when somebody tries to recruit them. Now, you've been in that space. What is, in your opinion, good recruiting, and what, in your opinion, might be bad recruiting? What does that look like?
Well, I think recruiting as a word can sometimes just rub people the wrong way, right? I mean, because nobody wants to be recruited, really. I mean, from an ego perspective, I guess there can be a nicety in knowing that people want you and all of that, right? But I think that it's kind of one of those things that, when you're walking through a store and like the salesperson is like chasing you down and you're like, gosh, like get away, right? But then the minute you want something, like you're like looking for them and you're like, where'd they go, right? So I think that the key is really more in like being in attracting in, just like attracting business, right? It's all about like, how do you attract the business to you? That's kind of, and so there's a lot of different pieces to it, because I think, part of it is just building really good culture in the office that with the agents that are already there, right? So part of it is, I think, being a really good leader, like having your people, having the agents that you're a part of, like want to sing your praises to other people, and being a place that just people generally want to be. So I think the people that struggle are, if you focus too much on, and you could relate this really to business and to clients too, but like if you focus too much on just all the outbound and like always just trying to chase more people, but you're not focused on like the back door and the people that are, leaving, if you're only focused on incoming. So it's really a balance, I think, between having really good culture and having people that want to stay and are committed to staying. Really, I think it's a long game. It's not something that's, in my opinion, easily accomplished like super short term. And it's relationship building, really. So the people that I've seen, I mean, and in my role, and there's different types of agents. I guess what I'm talking about too is like, how do you attract in like top high producing agents? Because newer agents are, quite frankly, like what they're focused in on is the training and the, like how do you train? They're, I guess, a little easier to attract in if you have really good training and systems. But like the top agents, it's really, that is all relationships in my mind, and it's built over time by being consistent. By if you're, a broker and you're wanting to attract good people, it's going to those people's opens. It's, stopping by when they're doing broker opens, and building a relationship over time, so that when an opportunity comes, inevitably, where they're like, I'm fed up, I don't want to be here anymore, or something's happened, the shift has happened, you're the one that they think of. I don't know. Does that help answer your question?
No, that was cool. I love how you say that the word recruiting, like we talk a lot about sales training and how we trigger sales resistance, but you can actually create recruiting resistance by using certain language and patterns. And what you're saying is, just like in sales, if you want to bring in top people, you have to play the long game. You have to attract them in. It's like a bee and honey, right? You got to attract them and bring them to your world and show them what you offer, because new agents go anywhere. I mean, they don't know what to look for, unfortunately. And they're just doing anything and everything. So with your long game approach, do you have a process that you follow? Because you said, stopping in at brokers open, stopping in at their open houses, how do you start with a long approach for somebody who you might want to be bringing into your company?
So I think there's a few different things to consider. So, first, just the when you're building, so just like any sales, right? You're building a target list. And so you're looking at, like, I would Broker Metrics is a great platform that obviously, ranks agents and has all the volume listed there. So, I mean, I would literally start there and I would make a list of the people that were, the top kind of people by volume. And then I would also think about like who is going to be a good fit and who is not. I mean, there's agents just by reputation that they may have the best volume in the world, but if they're not going to fit in with the culture or what you're trying to create, if they're going to create waves with the agents that you already have in your office, then like it's just not worth it. It's not worth the money, because if it's going to create negative culture, then that's not a good fit. So and then I think it's breaking down, like you take a list, you look at those different, and I would kind of tier them, right? By like 1 to 3 million, 3 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 20, and then 20 plus, and kind of tier it from there, right? And then you kind of have different, because those people are going to have different challenges. So then you're looking at, okay, what are the people typically that are in the 3 to 5 million? Like, what are the challenges that they're typically facing versus the people that are maybe in the 10 to 20, 20 plus? What are they facing, which might be leverage and growth, which might be different than what so I think it starts with making your list and then segmenting that and then figuring out who you want, to target out of that group. And then developing to some degree a system around those tiers, right? And we're going back in time a little bit, because this isn't my main role now, but I'm happy to share. And so, I think that Brokers Opens, that was definitely part of a system that I would just, again, when I knew the people and the people that I was trying to attract in and who I wanted to develop a relationship with, it was targeted. And part of it was just outreach, just like any kind of, if you're talking about business or clients that you're doing outreach to, you want to try to, talk to them at least, once a quarter or more, depending on that person or that relationship. Are we having some technical difficulties here? Did we lose Vic?
Yeah, we lost Vic for a second, but that's all
okay.
good. I'm still here. You're still here. And that's all that matters.
Okay, cool. So anyway, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, like, and it's so interesting that like, even you were saying there, like there is this element of like strategic process that is required in order to get in front of the right people. And it's like, I think that so many agents leave their business towards wishful thinking. And me and Vic have chatted about this. Me and Sharon have chatted about this, where it's like, there needs to be some sort of strategic plan towards referrals, towards, retention of clients, towards recruiting like potential agents onto your team. So like shifting gears here a little, when we're talking about like strategy and processes, because you've been in so many different veins of real estate, what is your strategy around attracting clients for your real estate business, but also retaining them long-term and getting them to refer? Because it kind of sounds like, based on the recruiting, it's like, hey, we make a list, we take a look at the top 100, we grade them, and then we go after them and we build relationships. Like, what is your strategy with clients? And then like, we were chatting off screen around referrals and around driving intentional referrals. Can you kind of unpack your strategy around what effective referrals look like for you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think there are, there's a few different like layers to it. So I'll just start with, I think that the key really is that, and I know you've probably talked about this statistic on your show, but most people, the average person, knows about 10 to 12 real estate agents. And they typically use the one that they typically make the decision of who they're going to partner with arbitrarily. And it's usually the last person that they've heard from. So the key then really always is, how do you continue to stay top of mind with the people that already know you, like you, and trust you? Because I think that my business through the years has really been mostly referral based. And it's just because I'm staying consistently in front of the people that already know me, like me, and trust me. I think most of the time when most agents that I've either coached or even in my own business, when you look at what your sources of business are, primarily most people, when you look at that business, it goes back to, referred from someone or a past client, or somebody that maybe, it's an open house, but most of the time they're a referral base when you go back and do your sourcing. And so then it's like, well, how do you have a plan to reach those people? So for us, there's a few different layers to it. I think the first, and actually this is direct from our friend Sharon, but we have an email nurture system. So it's basically a lifetime nurture. And so they hear from us 4 times a week, which I know for anybody that is thinking about like emails and, do they really work? Are they still effective? Do the people think they're being spammed? I find that if your content is good, then people like it, and then do it, right? Like make good content, just don't make crappy content. Like don't do the standard weekly email blast that you sign up for some marketing campaign where they like blast out something that everybody knows is spam. So, we have, our emails are, sometimes it's our podcast. So, I have the Soul Inspiring Business podcast. That's usually on every Tuesday, and we alternate it with other content. We'll do things to do around our area. We'll do a quick Q&A every week on a question that we get asked, and then we do a personal email from me. So that is a consistent way of touching people. So I like to think of like, what are the different ways that we're touching people? So that's one.
Can you go back and just like repeat? Like, I think that is really important for people that want to do emails, because I've chat with so many real estate agents and they're like, I want to do emails, but I don't know what to say. And therefore they may have a list of 5,000 people on their database, but they only get 1 email a month. And then they expect the business to grow with 1 to 2 emails a month. It's just not realistic. Like,
Exactly.
Our friend Sharon consistently talks about, people get 99 emails a day. Email works, but can you walk us through just really quickly, back up and just what are those 4 emails that you're sending, and what are you thinking about as you're sending them?
Yeah. So I think that this was actually something that I had a block on as well, quite frankly, until about a year ago. So, so I'm with you if you're listening and you're like, I still am not sure if what you're saying really resonates with me, because I don't want to be spammed. Therefore, I don't want to spam my people, so to speak. But I look at it as, again, if you're delivering good content, you're trying to set yourself apart as not only somebody that they know, like, and trust, but somebody that's good at what they do and that's a real estate expert. Like, you want them to think of you as the person to talk to when they think of real estate. And so this is a way I think that you're able to do that. So what we do is we have one email, and it kind of, we have a whole system. But I'd say the consistent things we do every week would be a deal of the week. So we're always promoting at least one deal or off market in our coming soon to our whole database. Then we do another one that's a Q&A. So I typically will just, get questions. I mean, I'm asked questions all the time because people are just curious about real estate, and there's a lot of terms, there's a lot to unpack. So just think about, like, what do you get asked every time, or if you're not sure what you're going to talk about or what the question is, go to, I think it's answerthepublic.com. There's like questions on there. I mean, there's easy ways to figure out what questions to answer. But we do those 2, and then also a personal email from me that's sent out every Saturday morning. So those are 3 that are consistent. And then the 4th that alternates would be a podcast episode that drops. So we'll highlight that. Or we'll do what to do around the DMV or what to do in Annapolis. And so those are the 2 markets we serve. And then the other one that we do are style trends. So I'll do, just paint colors or things, because I try to think of like, what would people want to know? And I get really good feedback. People will be like, oh my gosh, I love your emails. I'm always curious what you're going to say next. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. So anyway, yeah.
Now, aside from email, and thank you for so much for breaking that down, because I think that's super powerful. And like, I think we all fundamentally have this belief, like all conversion happens in conversation. And like you're saying, people are responding to your emails. So that's, they're working, they're responding to your emails and you're having conversations about the content that you're sending. When it comes to referrals, maybe you can dive in a little bit deeper into how you're generating these referrals strategically.
Uh-huh. So, the next piece, I think, so email is one, just to be out there, right? And then the other one is, I believe that a lot of the times you'll get referrals from people. So the time that people are most amped up about and talking real estate is when they're in transaction, is when they're in transaction with you. So that's really a key time to be really, either asking for referrals or talking about it or having conversations with those clients, because they're already telling all their friends about it anyway. So it's a really fabulous time to generate referrals. So in our process, so let's just say when somebody gets referred to me and we're meeting for the first time in our buyer consult, in our questionnaire, that's a Google form that's going out to the buyers before we even meet, there's a question on how they like to be rewarded for referrals. So that's like in our process already. And then we actually talk about it a little bit during that consult. Like, listen, part of what we do is we really want to deliver an amazing experience so that you want to tell your friends. So please know, like we're setting expectations in process through that time. I think that's also a great time to like surprise and delight your clients, because again, the more that you do and pour into them. So we've actually just put into place a gifting program for our buyers and sellers when they sign the listing agreement, when they sign our buyer agreement, the first time out showing, where we're giving like little gifts to them like throughout that process. So again, it's really, I think it's part of process, and it's part of what you message to people. And so if you're messaging, hey, most of our clients, like the time that they're really excited and the time they most refer their friends, we've found is, when we're working together. So please know, if you know of anybody that's looking to buy or sell, we are a resource and we love to help. And this is just how we continue to grow. So when you're saying those things and setting that stage for it, I think that's part of it, is just process. The other thing that we do, and again, this is not necessarily like asking for referrals, but I think it's just to keep people top of mind. I mean, we send home anniversary, it sounds simple, right? But we send home anniversary cards and birthday cards consistently. So like every month, those are going out consistently. We also, for my top people, like the people that refer me the most business, we do just gifts. So we just in January did this like they got like these beautiful chocolates from us and just said thank you for all the, they were actually from the cordialcherry.com. I don't know if you know them, but they had these like beautiful little like snowflake and snowman chocolates. And we were able to put a branded note and send that to the cordialcherry.com. And then they put everything out on our behalf. And it was just like a beautiful touch. And then I did video text messages to every person that received those and just said, thank you, for your trust in us. And we really appreciate you continuing to refer people our way. So it's really going back to even just from when we were talking about agent attraction, it's all in relationships. And it's having the confidence to know that if you're in this business, then like be the best at what you do, and then have confidence in that then when you go to talk to your clients and you're asking them for business, you're asking them because they already want to help you and you are the best. So like, why wouldn't they want to refer business to you?
What I keep hearing from successful agents, Cody, is just like Carrot, you have a system, you have a By the way, can you guys actually hear me? Because I am. Yep. Okay. There's a process, you guys, and Kara's process, here's what I want people to take away. Kara's process has been developed over 2 decades. don't try to replicate the amount of effort. If you're a solo agent or you're a solo agent with an admin or a VA, don't try to replicate everything she does. Pick one thing or two things that she's doing, right? Maybe you love like the personalized gift of chocolates. All right, cool. Every January you do that, right? Glenda Baker did the cupcakes on your birthday, but it was automated, right? So I would get cupcakes from her every year. I'm like, Glenda, how do you find me? She's like, it's automated, Vic. Your address changed, so something does something, and somebody reaches out to you, like we do it, but it's not her doing it. So you have to figure out the process you want, and then you just commit to it and you stick to it, and you'll eventually add another step and another step and another step and another step. But what most real estate agents say, right, and you might be one of them, is like, I work off of referrals, when really they don't have a process and they're just praying to God that somebody thinks of them and calls them. And that's why most agents go out of business. So Kara, great job on your process. I kind of want to jump into something that we were talking about a little bit earlier. And it's, how do people, when they're struggling, how do people put the prospect first when they're struggling? Because right now, what I'm hearing from a lot of people, like I talked to somebody yesterday, or not, like last week, that was doing $500,000 their top year, which was just a couple years ago. And this year they have maybe $100,000 coming in. And I know for people, they're like, $100,000, that's still a lot, but not when you're making 500. That's 20%. So that'd be like you making 50 and now you're making 10. And they're coming from a lot of commission breadth because they have expenses that are now through the roof. How do you continuously keep your prospect top of mind and not put yourself first when you're hurting and you really need somebody to do something? And and the second part of that question is, how do you stay motivated when you make 500 calls and you are just being crushed nonstop?
I think the shorter answer is it's a real challenge. I mean, it's something that I don't think is like there's an easy fix that you can say, oh, this is just going to magically make it better. But I do think that mindset is really everything. I think like your energy and what you bring to the business and to people is everything. And just like you said, people can feel desperation. And they can feel when like you're not being totally genuine. So I think as much as you can, you've got to figure out ways that you can keep your mindset strong and not allow that to come into your business. And I'm not saying that's an easy feat, but I think it's something that if you're going to be in this business, you have to figure out. Because I think that business continues. Taking a step back also, or aside, the other piece of me and the part of me that prompted to create the Soul Inspiring Business podcast is actually that I'm like deeply spiritual as well. And that's always been, and having a really strong like spiritual practice and believing, and I believe that energy is everything. It's part of what allows us actually to attract in business. So like one of the affirmations I say daily is, no matter what's going on in the market, no matter what's going on in the world, my business continues to increase and grow. So like that's a whole other probably like tangent. And so I know we've got to wrap up here soon.
I love it. I think that's amazing.
Yeah. So like, I think it's just finding a way to ground yourself. And also like, it is I think important. I'm reading the book Profit First right now. And, I think that it is important to just make sure that when our business grows, like we're not maxing out, expenses. And I think especially agents, we can get super, there's a lot of shiny objects. And so we can start to say, oh, this is going to be the magic fix. This is going to be the magic fix. This is going to be it. So like, maybe if you're in that place, like take a hard look at the expenses, take a hard look at actually what you need, what you don't, maybe get back to basics to figure out how can I, maybe rein this in so that I'm not so dependent on that particular person. Because I think that, there is lots of business in all markets and there's lots of opportunity. And so if you can figure out, how do I shift my mindset where I can truly be in a place where I know that I'm always provided for, where I have everything that I need at all times. And even if I'm stressed right now, something could change tomorrow. And, I could meet somebody tomorrow that changes my world. Right. And so it's like finding a way that you can get spiritually grounded. For me, it's a morning routine and morning practice. And it's something you have to commit to daily, and sometimes, hourly or minute by minute, depending on the day, but find a way to do that.
I got a follow-up question before Cody has his question, because I'm a big believer of spirituality and bringing that energy in. How do you find the way to bring that into your business? Because you have a team. How do you find a way to bring that into your business and not be like woo-woo? Or is that part of the attraction model when you're looking for people to join your team? Is that part of something you look for? Do they have a component of spirituality in them?
Absolutely. Quite frankly, I don't think that I used to answer this question honestly, because I was afraid that people would think I was too woo, or, oh, like, she can't talk about God. Like, we can't do that in our business. But, at the end of the day, like, this is just who I am. And the people that are aligned and that I'm most likely to attract will resonate with that. And the people that don't will not. And so I actually now, and you and I know Jen Cudmore, who we started, who I love dearly. She's been an incredible business coach and helped me really get aligned in, what are the things that are just unique to me, and how do I bring that more into my business and pour into a message that is me. And again, the right soul aligned people will resonate with that. So the other little thing that I always say is, dear God, please allow me to bring in the people that, are soul aligned and I'm meant to be with, and lovingly remove the ones that aren't. So then you just operate in a flow, in a world where the people, I just always trust that I'm connected with the right people, and that the people that I'm not meant to be connected with will just, I just won't. And I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think we all share that same type of ethos to life and business, where it's like, I believe in my ability to figure things out. That's really where I think confidence is created, in your ability to figure things out. But also getting really clear with the types of people you want to work with. Like for us, we've gotten really clear on our messaging around humans over homes. That's something I genuinely believe. And I believe that that's in karmic balance. I believe money's in karmic balance. I believe relationships are in karmic balance. And it's always insightful to chat with people. And we've had so many people on this podcast that share that same type of ethos, where it's like, if we just, do right by people, it'll come back tenfold. And, I just really, more than anything, Kara, thank you for joining us today, for sharing so much about recruiting, because we really haven't chatted too much on this podcast around recruiting. And I think there's a lot of key elements for people that are looking to effectively recruit, whether they're in a cloud brokerage or whether they have a team or whether they have a brokerage they're looking to attract talent. You really did a great job breaking that down. Now, if somebody were to want to reach out to you and maybe it's an agent-to-agent referral, maybe they just want to learn a little bit more about your story, where's kind of the best place that we can direct them for you to have a conversation with them?
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, it's been my pleasure. So I appreciate you both. So my website is kcdrealestate.com. So that's a great place to start. And then I am on social as well. Instagram is probably my preferred platform. So it's just Kara Chaffin. I know it's mouthful, but Kara Chaffin Donofrio. And that's ChaffinDonofrio, and Kara with a K. So those are kind of the two best places. Yeah, please. Happy to help. Happy to, help other agents that maybe are struggling and need some help or guidance. I mean, I answer all of my DMs directly. So happy to help.
Thank you so much, Kara.
Kara, thanks so much for joining us today. It was really a pleasure, really a treat. And I want to say thank you for tuning into another episode of the REH podcast, the #1 real estate podcast in the world. We'll see you soon.